Hello, hello. How's everybody doing this evening? It is Wednesday, the 13th of April. What a time we have right now in the market. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to join in, and hope you guys are doing great this evening. How's everybody doing this evening? I'm going to give you some drop downs here. Where is it? There it is. Okay, here I am. So I love, real estate and all this stuff, but sometimes I feel pretty techie. Still getting used to the live feed that we're working through here. So, hey, Benji, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome this evening. It is Wednesday. It is the 13th of April, almost tax time. And it has been crazy in the market right now. And so I wanted to take tonight and go over some of that with you. If you've got some questions, hey, good afternoon. If you guys have any questions this evening, I thought it would be a good time to answer them because, we're in the thick of this. We've got interest rates going up. The market is crazy. I'd say, it's about as competitive as it's ever been this springtime. And I'm seeing some trends. I want to talk to you about that, as well as talk to you about some places that I think are some good spots to jump into if you're buying a house in Virginia Beach, or whether it be in Norfolk, or if it's even in Williamsburg or Newport News, anywhere. So I'm going to get into some different details. But the main thing is I want to answer your questions. If you have any questions for me, because there's a lot of nuance and a lot of things going on right now that I think that maybe I can shed some light upon, to give you some more context about what to do if you're planning to move here, and just advice about whether it be neighborhoods or strategy, market strategy, because winning a house in the market right now as a buyer is extremely difficult, and little details can make the biggest difference as to whether or not you get the house that you want. And so I think, I like jumping into those details. So feel free, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. Anything you got, lay it on me, whether it be market, real estate, area stuff, all that kind of stuff, just let me know. But I want to just get into some details first about what the market's doing right now. I talked about this in the last videos, but I think that this is an ever-changing topic, and I think that it is important to get into some, like, what's changed in the last week, because things are changing now. And what's changing? Well, the strategies that do factor into whether or not you win a house or not are some of them are the same. When you've got a house that's, for example, $500,000, it's pretty competitive. But it's even more competitive if you get into the $400,000 and $300,000 price range. And I'm noticing the biggest, the margin where it's most difficult right now to find any house, period, is under $300,000, mostly in Virginia Beach. It's almost like that price range has almost been completely eliminated from the market in general. And it's very difficult because as that price range has eliminated and interest rates have increased, you've got a house that used to be $250, and at a 3% interest rate, you're paying maybe $1,500 a month. Well, that house now could be $270, $280, even up to closer to $300 now, a few months later. And that house now is $2,100 a month, $2,000 a month. So several $100 a month difference for the exact same house, only in a few months time period, because the interest rates have changed. I have a client that closed on a house today. Interest rate was 4%. That seems like an eternity ago is when they locked their interest rate in. It was almost 4 weeks ago. Right now, if they got the exact same house, that interest rate would be about 5% instead of 4%, be about a 1% difference. What does that mean? It means that 1% difference for a $300,000 house is about $225 a month, I believe. That's a lot of money in a very short, like literally about a month, less than a month period of time. That is of an influence if you do buy the exact same house for the exact same price, and it's not usually the same price anymore. It's going up. So things are changing. Things are like the demand and the cost of everything has gone up. So you hear about inflation with beef going up, with gas going up, all the normal stuff we hear about. Well, it's affecting housing as well. And so that being said, the demand's still high. So if you see a house that's a 285 in Virginia Beach, that could, I did last week, did some statistics talking about the chances of you getting a house under about 15,000 over asking price. I'd say about a third of the houses on the market right now in that price range are going 15,000 over. And that's at the very minimum. Like there are houses going 15, 30, 35, 40, 50 over and over than that. I have clients who are getting houses and they go $100,000 over asking price in the 6-ish, 7 range. That's a lot in a short period of time. So I've said this in months before. We've talked about this in other videos. Locking interest rates is like the hidden key to getting the best value and best situation for the house that you're getting. I mean, that's the interest rate is such a big thing because you can focus on the price, but if you don't focus on the interest rate, you can say, well, I'll just wait it out, 3, 4, 5 months. You can absolutely do that. You can wait as long as you need to. And that's, whatever works for you is the most important thing. But if you're doing it based on numbers, a house right now that's $400,000, or let's just say $500,000 in a mortgage now, that mortgage could be in and around $3,000 or more a month. If you wait and that house in August or July or September becomes 520, 515, 525, but the interest rate's 1% higher, now that same house is going to be $300-ish more a month. But you might not have as much competition. But it doesn't mean it's going to be as cheaper price necessarily, if that makes sense. So as prices go up, the demand, might like pull back in August, September. But now that the prices have had a precedent of selling for higher, it gives sellers a reason to try and get more money for their house. And so unless there are just a complete turnaround in the market, it's still going to be more expensive. It just won't be as difficult possibly to get the house under contract. So getting it valued, figuring out, what is what's the value for the energy that you exert to get the house that you want under contract. Like that's a valid concern, right? How hard is it to get the house under contract? Well, it can be more difficult now. It could be easier in July, August, September, but it might be still more expensive. So it's an emotional budgeting kind of balance there. Felix has a question. Where do you see interest rates going by August? Great question. So the Feds are still going to be raising their interest rates I think it's really got 3 more times this year. I could see it not because of that, just that, but I could see, put that back. I could see things, I'm hearing things up, another percent wouldn't surprise me. It could balance off though. Like usually when you see an uptick, you'll usually see a correction. I've been talking to some people thinking that it might settle around the upper 4s for now. But if there are going to be more interest rate hikes by the Fed, factoring in other financial or market conditions, I could still see the general trend going upward another percent. I could see more than that over the next few months or maybe a year. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're talking about 6% in a relatively short period of time. But in August, if I was to guess, I'm going to say probably dancing around the low mid 5s is where I would think it would be if I was to guess right now. But we'll see if that holds itself true. And again, there are a lot of variables that we don't even know how to predict yet because they haven't happened yet. That might also influence interest rate as well. But if you're buying a house and trying to sell it in a year, it could work for you. It really could. People have done that in the last year, and I never recommend that, right? But people that bought their house at 400,000 end up selling their house for 450, and they end up doing really well, or they make money or break even in a short period of time, which is unheard of. But I never recommend that. So my whole point here is that when you're buying a house, again, thinking of it in the long term, if you're planning to be here for several years or for a even longer period of time than that, that's when you can start focusing on getting the house that you want. And that's where it's shifting from how much is it, making sure it fits the budget. But if it's the house that you want, to me, I'm all about getting how much are you paying for the day-to-day enjoyment of your house. Because it's not just, you're not just buying a stock and watching it go up and down. You're buying a home. You're buying the place that you're living, so that factors into this too. So Felix, another question. It's been talking about recession. What does that do to house sales? So good question. I mean, so if interest rates keep going up and the affordability of those houses, if people can't buy, as interest rates go up because the prices now are getting too high, I could start seeing, the flip. You could see a switch from all of a sudden a lot of buyers are in the market to and sellers, or there are fewer sellers, to a total shift. I could see that happening. If the inflation numbers keep going up, I could totally see people being a little bit more concerned about getting into the market as well, because again, everything's costing more. Like if they're like, hey, I'd prefer to move, but I don't want to now because everything else is costing more, I could totally see a pullback. But there are I think we got a ways to go before that happens for me, because we just don't have a lot of inventory right now. I cannot tell you how many people are looking for houses right now compared to how many people are selling. If you look at houses that go up in the market on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, if you look at Virginia Beach, there may have been, 100 houses hit the market, or maybe less, in the last 3 days in Virginia Beach, like resale houses. That's not a lot, because there are a lot of people waiting for houses and that couldn't get a house in March and April. So this could easily filter through into the May, June, July, August, September time period. It might take a few months, even if interest rates go up quite a bit, for it to balance itself out. So I think as disposable income drops, I think that the guarantee over appraisal numbers might diminish, which also can factor into how strong the market will charge forward, because that really is part of what is making this market go up, is because you can make high offers, right? If 10 people make offers on a house, but no one is willing to guarantee the amount over appraisal that it might take to get the house, then those 10 offers are going to be essentially reliant upon the appraiser to determine what their loan is going to be. And so it makes the seller a lot more, or they have to be a lot more forgiving or adapting to the market, because the control might shift from the seller to the buyer again, because now the buyer may not have as much money. The seller is like, well, if you want to offer $50,000 over asking price, they might be stuck taking $50,000 less if it doesn't appraise. So the disposable income thing is interesting to me, because I think that as disposable income drops, I think there could be a pullback, just because people just don't have as much money to spend on that extra aggressive behavior. That being said, there are a lot of people that are going to be constantly moving into this area, even in the crash in 2008, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2010. People come and go here all the time because of the military. There's so many people leaving and coming. So that's what helped when even the market crashed in 2008, which I don't see that happening now. But when it did, there was a stabilization in a lot of neighborhoods, because there's so many people coming in and out anyway. There's just an inherent and built-in demand. So I think in general, like in this market compared to other markets you might see in the rest of the country, I think that there was going to still be a stabilizing factor here now compared to what there might notice future news of corrections in other large cities. I'm not so sure that it's going to end up being like that because of the built-in military criteria or demographic. All Pro. Hey, All Pro. I'm officially moving there in September. Excited. Hey, congratulations. What area? Are you going to do Virginia Beach? Are you going to the peninsula, Williamsburg, Newport News? Are you coming here, military or otherwise? And want to mention another thing too, factoring into this market thing. I'm talking to a lot of people that are coming here, selling their house from a different state, whether it be on the West Coast, the North, sometimes even the South, making the money from the market that they just left and coming here and buying houses, either cash or very, very strong buyers doing conventional loans, but putting a lot of money down. So what does that mean? It means that buyer strength is still very high, which is another reason why unless other markets totally turn around, that also might not, the area might not be influenced as much, because there's still a lot of people here that see this market as a very underpriced market. 2009, 10, 11, 12, the appreciation numbers really weren't that high. They did not go up very much in relation to a typical market. Well, there was an acceleration point in 2020, 2021, and then 22 now, and we are now past what would be considered average, even considering those last years that had a much lower appreciation rate. But even still, compared to other markets, I don't think we're really that much. They're really close. I mean, think about it. We've got beach. We've got 4 seasons, which a lot of people want. We've got access to multiple other large cities. DC 3 hours away. Raleigh 3 hours away. Richmond is an hour and 20, 30 minutes away. Colonial Williamsburg, you've got history. You've got destination spots like the Outer Banks, the Eastern Shore, on both the north and the south. Philadelphia is about 6.5, 7 hours away. New York. So we're equidistant. We don't get too far north. We're not too far south, right there in the middle. And so that leads to a lot of people wanting to come here, but the prices have only started to now catch up to other places that have that demand for resorts, for getaways, for vacations, for just leaving and moving from wherever they're coming from. So I think there's still some run up to be had, and especially some of those most in demand places. I think there's still some movement to be had, unless interest rates go up so high that it just cuts the buyer pool out so much. All pro, moving Virginia Beach or Norfolk, most likely. Great. Okay. Curious to hear reasons as to why, or which city you might be picking over the other. Felix, what can you tell me about the Stonehouse development? Stonehouse being up in Williamsburg. We're talking, I believe, the Ryan Homes development, if that's true. I'd say if it's true, it's one of the more underpriced. That's what we're talking about. I think it's the most underpriced new construction in all of Hampton Road, all of the Williamsburg area. You can get some that are resale as well in that same general vicinity. You're talking around $500,000 for new construction in that range. Of course, usually it ends up being a bit more than that. But you may have heard me talk about this before. New construction, I love it for certain reasons. If you want to get out of the crazy, offer over asking, all that stuff, that's fine. But you're paying for new, right? And when you're paying for new goes away. So it often takes a little bit longer for the appreciation to catch up to maybe some other neighborhoods that are more established. So you're buying it a little bit higher price for new construction. But again, you do get some value if that's what you're planning on doing. Everything's new. The warranties, the HVAC is not a problem for 15 years plus. Same with the water heater, the roof, the windows, all that stuff. So, I would say just when you do new construction research, just do a little research on the builder that you're building with, and also I'd say contextualize your expectations on what the new construction you're getting is, because there are a lot of people that come from different areas and say, hey, I want to build a new construction house. Well, new construction does not necessarily mean quality. And, it doesn't mean that it's a bad house, or you just have to know what you're getting, right? If you go to, Target, what quality you're getting at a place like Target. If you're going to, what's Crate and Barrel, what Crate and Barrel is doing, So when you buy into different brands or different units, or you buy in different things, what the return is of what you're putting your money into. And that's the same with new construction. But it doesn't mean that every new construction is the same. So if you coming from California or Texas or Oklahoma or wherever, and you have an experience of what new construction is, it might not be the same for what you're going to experience here. So new construction changes based on the build and the builder. So check that. Make sure you do some research on that, please. Or transfer that will be working downtown Norfolk. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Know a lot of people that are doing that, and they end up picking either Norfolk or Virginia Beach, sometimes Chesapeake too, because you can go up the Route 164 through Interstate 464, and you can get from Chesapeake to downtown Norfolk in either anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. So anyway, new construction in and around Virginia Beach. Great question, Natalie. The answer is yes, but it's not a lot. So it depends on price range. Do you want what your price range is? And two, if you want attached or detached, there are both, but there is a lot less detached house new construction in Virginia Beach. And new construction in Virginia Beach right now, under 650 and 7 is almost impossible to find. Now, if you're talking about attached, talking about closer to 450. Maybe you can squeeze in the upper 3s even. I don't even know if you can anymore now. There's some specific new construction. Dragus has some new construction developments in Virginia Beach and Chesapeake right now in the Western Branch area that I think is a good value if you want new construction and you're okay with a condo style attached. But 4s bare minimum is usually the idea right now for attached. Trixie, hey Trixie, and Natalie, if you know price range, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Our house goes on the market in 3 weeks, close to moving to Virginia Beach. See you soon. Hey Trixie, that's awesome. A, congratulations, and B, I'm very curious to know where in Colorado. But hey, see you soon. Are you coming to actual Virginia Beach or the city around there? But that's awesome. Congratulations. New construction. Yeah. So let's go back to here. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. Where's my banner? There it is. So going back to the market, new construction, I want to mention one thing about new construction. You asked that question, Natalie. New construction expectations for timeframes. Still expect 8-9 months. I'm working with some clients that are now getting a house, got under contract in, I guess it was February, completion date end of November. And other clients I have that completion date took them about 4 months or so, 5 months. And that wasn't too crazy, but every builder and location changes because, like, for example, the permits can take longer. It could be, it depends on how far they are into the process too. But when you're buying a house that's fully developed, it's already built, and it's on the market as a new construction, the question I ask often is, why is it on the market right now? It depends on why. Depending on, you can ask yourself if it's a good deal or not, because if it's on the market and it's fully finished, you can ask yourself, why has it not been sold yet? And if they haven't listed it yet, or if they decided just to list it after it was finished, okay, that's fine. But why? So it depends. So just definitely prepare. The length of time is a big deal. A year or so is probably reasonable, especially if you're doing custom in like Williamsburg, in like Ford's Colony, Kingsmill. If you're getting a lot built, it's going to be probably about a year is realistic, I think, right now. Natalie, no more than 500,000. Yeah. So new construction, Virginia Beach. Yeah. That I would say I would pivot. If you want new construction, you can do in the mid 400s right now in Norfolk Highlands in Chesapeake. That's about 4, or even one got listed recently, 430. I think about 2,500 square feet, 2,200 square feet, I think. Anyway, Chesapeake in specific spots, but it's tough. Virginia Beach, no, I don't think I can think of anything detached. And if there is any, it would be a very specific individual lot in a place like Thalia has, or a couple neighborhoods, some really small, like you can do like a shotgun style house. Maybe you can find one at 500. I don't think you can right now. But yeah, I would say if you want to stick to Virginia Beach, I would potentially, if you want new construction or a newer house, I would say maybe a place like Glenwood that's like 25 or so years old. But if you get a house that's 25 years old and all those systems are new, like HVAC, roof, windows, they're all done because a lot of those are only about 20 years lifespan. Maybe you can get a house that feels newer and it's just, it's built in the 90s. That would be my next pivot if you want to stay in Virginia Beach. And that's kind of the hack here too, is sometimes people focus on a house that feels new. And they get a house that's new and they all think, okay, I'm going to get a house that doesn't need anything to do. No need. I can just move in. Well, the house is built in 2003, for example. It might have a newer contemporary open style floor plan. If it's 19 years old, that means that you've got all those systems about to be replaced. And you've got something that you think is move-in ready that it technically is in one sense, but you're going to be putting in a solid $15,000, $20,000+ almost at the same time for a lot of those things. It doesn't all of a sudden does not feel like new construction anymore, like in a very short period of time. So just be aware of that as well. If you really want something new or a certain floor plan, it can feel like a whole lot newer than it actually is. Benji, whoever's moving here to Virginia Beach, welcome. It's a pretty decent place to live. Oh, thanks, Benji. I hope you are enjoying it here. And I know you've been here for a few months, so you've got a pretty good feel about what things are like here, as we've been chatting for a while now, for a few months. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free. I think one thing I want to mention about Virginia Beach's market, specifically a couple of neighborhoods I think I want to mention that I think are going up quite a bit in value, but I think it's there for good reasons. If you're looking in these 6s, 5 and 6 range right now, I think Thorogood, if you can get in there under 7, under 650, I'd say go for it. The reason I'm saying that is because you get the school districts that a lot of people like. You've got Princess Anne High School, but you also have bigger lot sizes in there. So the reason I'm even mentioning this is because a lot of people that I talk to, they love this, open, wide open space, wide open lots, wide open, like the trees and mature neighborhood kind of style. And it's hard to find that under a certain price range. And I'm noticing those areas starting to shoot up in price. And so a lot of areas in Thorogood are getting up into the 650, 750 range. And you got also water access over $1 million, but there are still some houses that you can get under 650. So if you can get in there, I think you've got like one of the nicer lower price houses in the area that has a lot of not only growth or value growth I see, but also a lot of more expensive houses around it. That's one place. This other one I think is, I still like Kempsville a lot. In Kempsville, you look on school district maps, you notice that they're not ranked as high. But for what you're getting, the price range, the feel of the neighborhoods, the proximity to interstates, central locations, grocery stores, Wegmans, you're central to everything. You can get to downtown Norfolk in about 13, 14 minutes. It's great for the 475 to 550 price range. You might have to get closer to 6 sometimes, but if you want that 2,400 square foot house, you can get 500 price range and do really well. And there are a lot of neighborhoods that are in that area of Kempsville that I think are great. I'll show you on the map actually too. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going about this faster than I used to be, I think. So there we go. So Kempsville is right here. See Mount Trashmore. There's Mount Trashmore there. And there's Town Center right here. Well, Town Center, and zooming out, if you got all this area Kempsville, this is Kempsville. You've got Providence Road, Edwin Drive, this whole area like near the Kroger, near the Wegmans is up here. You got this whole section. You got Salem Woods down near, where are we at? Indian Lakes, Pleasant Valley, over here. This whole neighborhood section all through here is not too far away from interstates, but it's also there are a lot of mature neighborhoods. Let me drop a pin. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's just do Lodgepole. This is Larkspur Meadows, or Farms, I guess. But you can see here, these houses were built in the 90s, 80s, but these are in the 5s. Zoom out some more. Let's say drop down below a little bit. So here's Timberlake. Let's go near towards, here's a great spot. Bellamy Manor, Stockbridge. These you can get, low 500s, mature trees again, old Google Maps. And I've done videos through here before talking about this area, but 4 or 5 bedroom houses. One thing to note about a lot of these houses and a lot of these price ranges is that room right there. That is considered a frog. Finished room over the garage. And the finished room over the garage is it's essentially a room that is considered the 4th or 5th bedroom in a house. And that's the thing is, it's great for a bonus room, great for a kid's room, great for an office. It's over the garage. It's not usually the same ceiling height as the rest of the rooms. And so it often is the shape of the contour of the roof line. And so you've got ceilings that are kind of angled in about 45 degrees or 30 degrees, something like that. One thing about those drawbacks is you've got the closet space is a lot less, or no closet space sometimes. And so if it's listed as a 4 or 5 bedroom, you might say, oh, great, I can get a 4 bedroom house for $485. Well, if you expect again, from coming from different states, this is important. If you come in looking for a 4-bedroom house and you see that frog, sometimes that 4th bedroom is the frog. And the frog is important to know because it is, if you think you're getting 4 true bedrooms, I don't think you personally are, because you got either less closet space, weird closet shapes, weird room sizes. It's just weird. And so it can be used as one. Just know that if it's the 4th, you just might not be getting what you're expecting. Make sure you just kind of plan that out before you come. And some of those are also awesome though, because they can be treated almost like mother-in-law suites because they have a separate access near the garage. So you can go in from the garage and go up the stairs right to that room. And sometimes there's a bathroom on that same side. So you can have almost a whole wing separate for a certain person. And then the rest of the house is for the rest of the family or whatever. So it can be nice as the closest thing to a mother-in-law suite as there is. I like that for that reason, but just have that expectation of what you're getting when you get a house like that. Especially if it's a 5-bedroom, it can be a nice bonus because you can still get 4 bedrooms and the frog. But just watch that. And you'll notice too, if you see like a 2,200 square foot house with 4 bedrooms and a frog, that is a good indicator that that 4th bedroom is the frog, because it's a good chance that the size of the house just won't fit, 4 true bedrooms and a frog, right? Anyway, so yes, me and my wife work in SLH. I actually don't know what that is. Is that a hospital? Oh, Salem Lakes. No, work in Salem. No, live by the Virginia Beach Boulevard, about 10 to 12 minutes away. I don't know what SLH is. I'm sorry. Best place to buy between 5 and 6 outside of Norfolk. Oh man, gosh, great question. It depends on how far you want to drive. So number one, I go back, depends on school district variables, like how much you want to be in certain spots for different reasons. In a vacuum, I still love Kempsville. You can get a great house, 5 to 6, if you want something like 4 or 5 bedroom house. If you want near the beach, I think still value to be had in Ocean View. I guess it's Norfolk, sorry. But otherwise, if you want near the beach, Shadow Lawn has some spots in the southeastern corner of Virginia Beach that are still are in that range. You could still walk to the beach. It's a long walk, but you could in that price range. And it depends on if you're planning to want an attached house, like a townhouse or condo, or a single family house. But that area I think I do like a lot. You can get a great house if you want like 4 or 5 bedroom house in Chesapeake, 500,000-600,000 in good school districts like Grassfield, Hickory, and even going to Western Branch on that side or towards the western side of Chesapeake. Some great spots over there in that 5-6 range, sometimes even less than that if you want the same kind of house. So it kind of depends on what you want. You can get a lot of house for the money, even if you go up towards Newport News. I've told a lot of people, there's definitely a reputation for Newport News. There's some specific reasons as to why, and I get it. But West Newport News, I could tell you some neighborhoods that if you went in there were blindfolded and then took the blindfold off, you would have no idea you were in the place that you were. It's some great neighborhoods in 5 and 6 for sure. And again, under 5 still, you can get a great house on the west side of Newport News. Otherwise, I'm a huge fan. I'm always probably going to be a big fan of either York County or Williamsburg because, a lot of people are going there either to retire or because of schools or because they just like the quiet, relaxed feel that a lot of those the areas in Williamsburg have. So I love that section of the York County, James City County area as well. Trixie, house with a pool or a house that has a lot that can have a pool is a must. Okay. How does a real estate agent help with finding out if a lot yard is pool capable? All right, so that's a great question. Great question. So that will often depend on zoning from the city. So a lot of times you're usually okay if the city allows proper. You need a certain amount of space away from the sides of the yard, for example. You need fencing for protection away from for protection from kids. So it really comes down to the zoning from the city, and also if there's an HOA involved. Depends there if there is a requirement there from the HOA, but an agent can help with that. I'll always say, I as an agent love to do that research, help people with that research, but it never replaces doing the same research yourself to make sure But in general, the first check I would make is with the city because then permits would have to be filed. Any contractor that does a pool installation has to, I'm like sitting here, like down here. Let's go back up here. Any pool contractor will have to file permits and, make sure that the city is approving those permits. So that'd be the main thing. And then doing research on the pool company as well to make sure that the pool company is someone you're comfortable with and reputable. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. That's one reason why I like Thorogood as well, because Thorogood has those big yards and they can fit a pool very well. Centera Lee, got it. Sorry, yeah, Centera Lee Hospital makes sense. I know exactly where that is. Gina, hi, what should a buyer look through in a final walkthrough? Great question. Okay, so it depends on what situation, what house circumstances you're buying in as to what, would be the steps or the best things to do. But in general, you're doing the same thing. You're making sure that the house is in the same or like condition as it was when you bought or made the offer and did the home inspection, right? In this market, there are a lot of times where you're making offers and you're saying to the seller, I'm not making repair, or you're not making repairs in this house. You're making that kind of an offer a lot of times. At the same time, it doesn't mean that if there's a huge gaping hole in the roof, there might be a problem here, right? So you still want to make sure that the things are in the same working order as previous. And there's some gray areas sometimes as to what can and can't be done about that. And that's where it gets into more of the unique nuances of the situation, and having a lawyer, an attorney to answer those questions if there is a problem and there's a contractual issue. But in general, you're going to be checking all the systems, checking the hot water heater, checking the hot water shower, electrical system, HVAC, all the systems in the house, checking the oven, checking the microwave, checking, going outside and, water spigot, all that stuff. So you're just making sure that the house is in the same condition. Now, hope that answers your question. Are you about to go through a walkthrough? If so, that's exciting. Shelby Blue, how about condos or townhouses between 2 and 250? If we're talking Virginia Beach, I would say one of my favorites would be, if you can get one in Kempsville Lake, I would do it. Right now, Kempsville Lake is closer to 270 right now, but if you get a smaller house in the 240 range, maybe. Indian Lakes is still always going to be one of my favorites for the 255, 260 range. Like there's one right now hit the market that is 255. There's a larger floor plan. You can still get one of the smaller floor plans in the low twos right now. I like Indian Lakes is near, I'll show you. Indian Lakes is kind of close to where I was just talking about, right here. There we go. Halifax. Where am I at? Sorry. Lake Victoria. Yeah. Am I going crazy? Jameson. Yeah, there we go. This is all these places right here. I think great neighborhoods for the price. Settlers Park Drive right here. These are some great townhouses for the 250, 260 range. I didn't share the screen. I'm sorry. I'm still learning. But point is, it's near like Salem, near the Kempsville area I was talking about. Sorry about that. Otherwise, you're talking Norfolk, there aren't too many condos and townhouses. So in general, I would say go into Chesapeake. You can go towards, there are a couple in Cedar. There's one a neighborhood near Las Gaviotas, townhouses in the 260s range, 275 range. So I'm getting close to 250, I know, but if you want to stay under that, I would say if you can do 2 bedrooms, I would do Indian Lakes or Cedar near Las Gaviotas if you can, Chesapeake. School districts are a big deal there too. Gina, have you seen any common issues with houses built in the 1980s? So it depends on which part of the 80s. So the biggest thing I would say just to note is the polybutylene piping that was put in the 80s and 90s. Now, polybutylene piping it's a type of plumbing that was installed for, I think it was about 9 years in the mid to late 80s and the early to mid 90s. I don't remember the specific years now, but the piping was built in 4 phases: phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Phase 1 was known to rupture a lot. And that created the reputation for that the piping to be a problem for, a lot of people in that time period. Well, over time, ruptures happened and kept exploding and all that stuff, and light leaks and problems in the ceiling replacement, all that stuff, right? Well, then they changed the manufacturer actually made changes, and they went from phase 1 to phase 2. They changed the fittings if I can follow correctly, my inspector tries to tell me a lot about this kind of stuff. The material that was made was different. Phase 2 still had some problems though. They changed it to phase 3. Phase 3 and phase 4 are a lot less of a problem. Almost, from what I'm told, almost non-existent of an issue, to the point to where, you might not have a problem as much at all. The risk is a lot lower. So do you need to be aware of it? Yes. Is it as big of a problem as 1 and 2 phases? To me, from what I'm told, I would say no. But it depends on the phase. I would say if you do see polybutylene piping, just ask about the phase. Sometimes insurance companies want to insure polybutylene piping, but I've seen people throw up red flag. I've seen insurance companies create concerns about that, but at the same time, if it's different phases, to me, it would not be as big of a deal. So that's one thing just to keep in mind. Otherwise, you'll see some of the HVAC systems might still be original, but you have a lot of systems that are brand new. People have replaced them. So I like the 80s in a lot of cases for that reason. But the polybutylene is probably the main thing I would just check into. Good home inspector will be able to answer that too. Natalie, is there flooding concerns in Virginia Beach? So it depends on where. I think the flooding in Virginia Beach concern, I think there are more. It's more of a perception thing, I think, than reality in a lot of places. The name Virginia Beach sounds like it's a flooding area because of the beach, but in reality, there are a lot of places near water that are built up high off the water, and those places aren't really as big of an issue for that. There are some spots specifically if you're going towards the beach near the ocean front. There's some pockets that have had problems. You can even just Google it, look it up online, you'll see. And then also if you're going over towards the center of Virginia Beach, Princess Anne Plaza has had, you go do again search. Hurricane Matthew decimated that area. And now since then, there's a golf course called Bow Creek that is now being turned into a drainage area, like a natural area, instead of a golf course, which was it was a rough golf course. Not gonna lie, not a good golf course. So hey, great, turn it into a drainage area, all for that. And because of where it is, I can totally understand why. That area, piping is an issue. It's more of a drainage thing than it is like, it's not an ocean thing. It's drainage. So there are some pockets that have some issues, but in general, I grew up in the area, so you see more so like real specific intersections, maybe like in real bad storms, but in general, it's not a big deal. Soul Glow, hello Soul Glow. How much of a challenge is it when using a VA loan for 1980s-ish townhomes in Virginia Beach, in the Virginia Beach Chesapeake area? Most of the time you'll be fine. So in general, if 1980s-ish townhouse, I think the main thing to note is with VA loans, in general, this is for not just townhouses, but for anybody, VA loans are more strict on conditions. Because what happens is, number one, when you get a VA loan, you are not, the inspection you get, like the home inspection you can get in a contract, is not something that the VA requires you to get. And I've had this conversation a few times recently to differentiate like what you actually can do when you get a house with a VA loan. The VA loan, you can still get a home inspection, but that home inspection is different than the VA appraiser. The VA appraiser does an inspection to a certain extent, but they're checking different things, and it's not as invasive as a home inspector does it to protect you as the buyer, right? The VA appraiser is kind of protecting the lender, and the money, the guy giving the money, right? Or the person giving the money, the entity giving the money. And so they're checking other things, but they're checking for condition of property. The reason I say that is when you're talking about, in this case, a 1980s-ish townhome, it's becoming almost a 40-year-old townhouse. Sometimes you can have, chipped paint, rotted wood, exposed wood, moisture damage on the exterior. Maybe there's some old railings that need to be put back up. Some things that can create concerns with a VA appraiser because they're looking for specific things that if they don't see it, they might require that the exterior be painted. They might require that the windows, maybe the windows don't operate properly, and maybe a window has to be replaced. The frame around the window sills, maybe there's a lot of moisture damage around the base of those windows. So those are things that, especially moisture damage, that can be a problem with a VA appraiser. And so if you're making an offer on a house with a VA loan and it has a lot of exterior moisture damage, for example, that could be something that if you go through the process, the appraiser might say, hold up, unless this house gets these repairs done, I will not allow the lender to loan money for this house until that happens, right? And if the seller is not going to be willing to fix those things, then you might not be able to move forward with the process of that house unless there's some creative, some dynamics that might be creative to help get that done. But it's not a guarantee. And so it's really important up front when you look at a house to kind of do that homework at the beginning. Like, okay, if I get involved with this house, what could the potential outcomes be? And if there are things that that might need to be done, if I'm getting a VA loan and they accept my offer, can this house close with the type of loan that I want? And if it doesn't, not only you might not get the house, or it might take longer because you may have to change your loan type, but think about this. Now the interest rate that you just locked in, you don't have a lock anymore. You have to start all over again. And if it's too expensive to extend your lock, you're basically back to whatever the market's providing you, which is a pretty big risk right now. So timing is important, and planning this whole thing out is very important. So, I'd say Soul Glow, this might be a lot more than you need for like what you're doing. But in general, these are the kinds of things for any house with a VA loan right now to factor in. And if it's competitive, especially in 80s townhomes, you're talking 225, 250. It's gonna be very competitive. So just factor that in. If you're doing a VA loan, there are other conventional loans that might come in there with other good offers. So just be careful of that. Oh, Karen. Hey, Karen. Good to see you too. Karen and I are old buddies. She is in Georgia. She is awesome. She is one of the inspirations, or the inspiration, as to me even creating this channel. So if you do love my videos and love this channel, you can thank Karen Carr for helping me start this whole thing. So thanks, Karen. You are awesome. Changed my life. So guys, any other questions you've got, you can put them in the chat. Anything else market-wise? I do think that talking to Soul Glow is something good to note. I think this is real important to note about timing. I think that with VA loans specifically, people are getting VA loans probably because no money down and lower rate. But if you've got to pay more money to get an offer accepted to get that lower rate, count the cost. If you're doing VA, which I know a lot of people are right now in this market here in Virginia Beach or the whole Hampton Roads area, that is a big deal, huge deal. Because if you're going to pay $5,000, $10,000 more for a house to get the house, but you're going to get a cheaper rate, factor in, ask your lender, hey, should I buy the rate down, or can I buy the rate down? How much does that cost me? If that's the case, maybe you should get a conventional loan, maybe put some money down. And maybe you won't have to buy, maybe buy the rate down a little bit, but you don't have to pay as much for the house. Depends on the cost. I'm just saying, my point here is that just don't walk into a VA loan situation expecting to get, zero money down for number one. If you got a guarantee over appraisal, but also the interest rate thing, you might be paying a lot of money for that lower interest rate. So just keep that in mind as well. If you got other questions too, please drop them in the comments, and I'm going to share my map and do a better job with sharing my map than I did the last time. Share screen. There we go. Good job. Good job, Sam. There. Okay. So some other things areas I want to mention to you, do the whole zoom out thing. When I talked to you about TAB or about York County, I just want to briefly mention this for school district stuff. South York County, all the way through this area near TAB and Grafton. This is one area when I can't remember who was asking the question about $500,000 and $600,000 houses. This whole area section up here is a place I would really be focusing on around Tab High School. One of the reasons is because if you're stationed at Langley, look how close it is. Gold mine right there. There's Langley right. Well, not right. There it is right there. Sorry. So you're about 10, 15 minutes away. There's Running Man, one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of York County right there. But then going further north, you've got York County South here. But then going further north, the Yorktown city or town is not very big. It's just right here. But going past the weapons station, Williamsburg, and North York County is a place I would focus some attention on as well. And one neighborhood I'm talking a lot about to some real good clients of mine, awesome clients of mine, looking at Queens Lake. And this is a cool neighborhood. And the reason I want to throw this in here is because it's got almost like a Thorogood feel, but just a kind of it's nice. And it's tucked away. Look at this, super cool, right? And it's got that whole like unkept but kept like nature kind of feel to it. But what's cool about it though is if you do the Google Earth, there's your lake right there. Cool, huh? So you got lake views around here. There's a house that listed right. I think this was the house. I think that was it for 650. I'm sorry, 550. And I'm thinking it must have gone, I think, over 6. But you got lakefront houses here in the 6s and 7s. Some of these might go into the 8s. But if you're looking in the water areas, that's nice views. I like Queens Lake a lot. So I'll go back. If you got any more questions, drop it in. But I like that whole section just north of Williamsburg, and that neighborhood is one of my favorites. If you do have, if you're looking at Williamsburg area, which I know a lot of people are, it's a nice spot, and people are coming from other cities or states to come to Williamsburg. I'm seeing that a lot. Isaiah, suggestions or places to rent or buy in Norfolk not over 300. So there are a few. So River Forest Shores is a neighborhood that is just outside of the Interstate 64. I'll go back to share the screen. Can I do that well again? Goodness gracious, why is this hard for me? There we go. Share a screen, and I'm going to show you a couple spots. Zoom out. Where am I at? There we go. Sorry. Oh yeah. So here's downtown Norfolk. Why is this layers? There we go. Goodness. There it is. Elizabeth Park, River Forest Shores right here. You can just look at a house in here under 3, more like low 3, but you can try and get them under 3 here if possible. And then even up here closer to Lake Taylor, there's some neighborhoods right in here. This real small little sections near Janiff Place that you'll find some, I would definitely do some drive-throughs to make sure you like these areas, but because it is kind of hit and miss. But I do like this area a little bit as well. If you go up the north section near Bayview, these are some nice spots, in the 250, 275 range. I think getting close to Ocean View, it's actually not bad. You have to still drive to the ocean, but very functional housing. 3 1.5 baths, 3 2 baths. Sometimes I have a client that's getting a house, a 3-1. In this section right now for about 250 with a big detached garage. To rent, let's see, let's go back. I'm sorry, let's go back here. To rent, prices and why there? Prices to rent in Norfolk, man, I would focus on the same spots, really. I mean, Bayview is, I think, an underrated spot if you don't want a big house. If you want like a 13, 14, 1,500 square foot house, Bayview just off of Ocean View is a nice spot. Even some parts of Ocean View, you might be able to find something kind of close, 3 1.5 bath. And part of the benefit too is sometimes you can get a funky house with a floor plan that might have more functionality in it in that area as well. But I like River Forest Shores. Elizabeth Park is over just west of there. That's over, I guess it's technically Virginia Beach, but it's right on the line. And yeah, I mean, I think going further north and even towards the north part of Military Highway, I love Larrymore Acres, which is a neighborhood. It's in the north central part of Virginia Beach, of Norfolk. I did a video about part of that area before because it is part of that section is right up against a park. It's hard to find a park that's near, some parts of Norfolk. I like that area because of that park. And again, back to functional housing, that 3 1.5, 3 2 bedroom house for, 250, 275, maybe closer to 300 price range. So, and you can possibly find, yeah, I mean, I was going to say you might be able to find something like that in Virginia Beach, but you really can't at this point with all confidence. And going over into, you can find something there's an area called Lafayette Residence Park. Share screen back again. If I could find a faster way to do this, I would do it. Over towards, where are we at? Sewell's Gardens, Cromwell, Roland Park. Roland Park. This is an area I love for the 250 price range, 260, 270. Love it. 3-1, 3-2, sometimes 3 1.5. You got sidewalks, which is actually kind of uncommon in some places, but Norfolk has more sidewalks, I guess. But real nice house for the price. You can get some like even 230, 240 sometimes if you want to get in that area. But then going out of there, there's one more spot that I want to show you. South of here, Lafayette Residence Park is a bit more expensive, but if you go towards Winona, just south of here, right in this section here, this nook, Blair Avenue, Gowrie, Jason Avenue, you can find some smaller houses in here for like these guys in here, craftsman style houses, just under 3. You could probably get in there just under 3. And some of these smaller ones, maybe 2-bedroom, 1-bath, you can get 225, 250, and because of the neighborhood, they'll go quick. But if you can jump on it, you're great. And the flood insurance, I don't think there's any flood insurance in this section, but you notice there are some spots that are similar. If you go over towards Winona needs flood insurance. If you go just north, this is like really annoying to see, right? Like a train wreck. So this might not be easy to tell. Lafayette, Winona, there we go. These neighborhoods just north of here look the same, but it's also more. Can I do this? All right. You don't have to watch me fiddle with this. Just look up Lafayette, Winona, and you'll be fine. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. So I would say just as a takeaway here, please make sure you have your plan in place to make an offer. Any house, especially under 350, is going to have multiple offers almost for sure, unless you're in certain various parts of like way out, an hour plus away. Get ready for that. If you're talking about most areas, some places in Portsmouth are still having a little bit of, you'll find some pockets that might not get that depending on which price range you put. So it's a strategic thing, but make sure you just be ready. If you want the house, be ready. Oh, any ideas on Chesterfield? Oh, Chesterfield, just south of the, of 264, Chesterfield Heights. Yeah, there's some spots in there like 250. I like the accessible spots. You'll find some that are more renovated in that area. I would just check. I would do some drive-throughs of the area to see if you like that spot. You got to be watchful about like what your expectations are. If you're from this area, do you live in this area? Do you know what that area? What is near there? Have you driven around there? That's why I think getting drive-throughs of if your agent can do videos for you to show you what areas look like and feel like, because what you notice too is in areas like Chesterfield Heights and like Lafayette, like Winona, like a lot of these places that have craftsman style houses like Ghent, Colonial Place, they have those larger like craftsman style houses, Victorian style houses, big columns, all that, the whole wood floor stuff. But they're all different, right? And they have different feels in the neighborhood. So just please make sure that if you do want to move to a place like that, you can see what's around there and what the differences are, because there's no HOA in those places for the most part. There are some historic districts that do have a little bit more say in what can be put in those areas and what can be put on the houses. But in general, they're not going to be, there's going to be some variance there, which is where you can find some value, but it depends on how important the neighborhood is to you. So definitely check that out if you're looking in areas that have those types of houses in them, pre-1940, 1950s especially. So I'm going to wrap up on that. If you have any questions, please, I got I'll put my phone number here. You can email me, sam@samsansalone.com. I promise I will figure out how to do super chat. People have asked me that before. Have you done super chat? I have not done super chat. I need to figure it out. But please reach out to me. I can give you any information possible. I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. I love doing this. This is like all I do, except spend time with my wife and my family. So please let me know if you have any questions. My assistant and I especially can help you do any of this. We love it. I love it. So until the next video, I'll do it, of course, next Wednesday. I've done this over 3 years religiously every Wednesday, so I'll keep doing it. And until then, hope to one day. Chris G, cool. Yeah, and until then, please ask questions. I'll do whatever I can to help you, and I will see you on the next video.